Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
BrainShare Business Mentors proudly presents BrainShare.us, the ultimate business education platform, delivering the proven systems, processes, tools, and knowledge that empower you to build the business of your dreams. With 13 high-powered courses encompassing over 240 lessons accessed online on your schedule. Running a business is the hardest thing you'll ever do. We've helped thousands of business owners gain the leadership, communication, and business skills needed to build the business of their dreams. We can help you. Choose your learning path. Scuba Squad is the premier membership program for today's business leaders with access to all BrainShare material and double our money-back guarantee. BrainShare Basics, the ultimate business framework course, a hard-hitting 13-week program to lay the necessary foundation to build the business of your dreams. Or take individual courses as you need them. Every course has dozens of lessons, with video, practical exercises, precise documentation, and the opportunity for direct feedback from a BrainShare mentor. All programs have our exclusive 30-day money-back guarantee. No questions asked, don't wait. Choose your path and start today.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. Doing business and life with a purpose. Serving others, and yes, achieving success. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. Start with your world. Worry about the bigger world later. You can't control that. My guest is incredible. You wait till you hear what he's got to say. But while you're listening, I want you to think about how will you serve today and what impact will you create with that service today. I want to thank my two sponsors, BrainShare.us, drive business success and sustainability with BrainShare Business Mentors, where your business flourishes and your vision comes to life. Check out the link in the show notes. And PitchDB.com. Be a guest on a possible 3 million podcasts and speak at over 11,000 conferences and much more. Build your thought leader platform with an incredible opportunity to show who you are. And that link will be in the show notes as well. Now, let's get to the show. We're going to get an impact today from a whole different side. He's actually in Hawaii, so I'm very jealous because I love Hawaii. But we're going to learn some things I don't think you've heard on any of my 360 podcasts. So I'm excited to bring Conner on. Welcome to the show, Conner.
Man, I'm, as we say in Hawaii, I am stoked. I'm stoked to be here, Steve. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
So we talked in the green room before the show that you got a certified servant leader certification. And they paid you to get your first degree. That's powerful. Talk about
that. In the sort of pre-show, we talked about something which really only the people who are kind of close to me in my personal circle or who were present with me in my life through my first undergrad degree would know about me, and that is that I am a certified servant leader, and that is because when I went through undergrad, my degree in psychology, I was given a stipend to complete what's called the servant leadership program. And I'm not sure if your listeners are familiar with the work of people like Jim Blanchard, and I'm drawing a blank on some of the other names who've influenced this kind of thing. But in the deep South, even, there's a huge presence for what we call servant leadership. And even in the kind of academic community, and I'm sure you're familiar with that, but that was, I'm incredibly grateful to that program. Shout out to Stuart Rayfield of Columbus State University, Columbus, Georgia, who was the director of the program where I went to college and is now actually the president of the college. And she's doing a absolutely fantastic job. She's amazing. And all the people there. So servant leadership. And I find it such an awesome sort of providential, if that's the right word, just serendipitous. There you go. Circular kind of way in which these things come around in our lives, to be doing this show with you now after all these years of being able to chew on some of these concepts, and not just concepts, but ways of being in the world. You talk about service. Service is this core value in this show. And I have come to conclusions about what service means that, like you said, are probably, I don't want to say, I'll just say contrary. They're different, because the ways of being in the world that are offered to us by the kind of default mode network of our kind of standard neurology, the kind of way of being in the world that we often take for granted. In other words, we're going deep here. We're going deep fast. Is that all right?
Go
Steve?
deep. Let's go.
Let's do it, man. The ways of being in the world that are offered to us by our conscious mind. So the part of our minds that believe that my name is Conner, or that my name is Steve, and that, or even the parts of me that believe, that think that service is a virtue and a value which does something in the world. These ways of interacting with the world that tell a story about who I am and my role in it, my ability to make an impact, and those kinds of things. One of the biggest messages that I've got for the people who hear this, for my audience, it's one of the key premises of my book, is that there is something else entirely going on here. And by here, I mean life, I mean human life, I mean existence, I mean that very thing, the part of us which believes that we are who we think we are. And by something else entirely, I mean, well, that's the funny part, right? You don't have to know actually what that is, or what that means, because there's a part of us, and we're going to circle around to service in this, and that is that there's a part of us that, when we are fully ourselves, when we come to where we are, when we find ourselves where we are in the world at the given moment in time, what we think of as time, there are ways of being that actually are capable of emerging from us automatically and effortlessly, that to the conscious mind, if it were to kind of zoom out, take a third person perspective on that and say, well, what is this? What does this look like? If I were going to give this a name, what is it? The conscious mind calls it service, because service is our nature, Steve.
Yes.
Right. And so when we are radically and authentically ourselves, now for me, that means something a little different than it does for a lot of people when they talk about authenticity. I like to put the word radical in front of it, because it's so radically authentic, and it's not even that either. Radical authenticity doesn't even really do, I'll say, justice, or isn't really even an apt description of what I'm trying to talk about here, because for precisely the same reason that you don't have to know what's going on here in order to be fully yourself, and in order to allow that that energy, but that story. Let's call it a story. It's a naturally emergent narrative that comes from the center of us when we are just the person or the whatever that we find ourselves being in the moment in which we are in. So I have an again, I'll say radically optimistic view of human nature, and I think that it's something divine in us, it's something spiritual in us that wants to kind of emerge from the center of us in the moment in which we find ourselves. And to an audience like this, and to you, and to anyone hearing this, we might call that service. and it is service, and it's like so much more than that as well. It's natural, it's
Yeah.
easy, it's who we are. Yeah.
Yeah. Connor, I believe everybody has the servant heart. It's whether they bring it out or not. And I think everybody has a temper, but we don't want to see it. But most people, some people bring out more than others. I love
Mhm.
what you said. It is deep, but there's pieces of that. It's so good. But the authenticity, whatever that looks like for you,
Yeah.
that's the key. I can't be authentic for you. You can't be gotta be your own. I love that. That's what a servant heart is. Now I want to get into your background. I don't like, not don't like, but I don't usually do this. But like I told you before the show, you're a very
Mhm.
unique coach because I got to read this. You've been an herbalist, you're a certified acupuncturist, you're an astrologer, a health food store owner. That's a heck of a spiritual background. How's that
Sure.
lead
Yeah.
to your coaching?
Well, it's a background in, so you're good, Steve, because you're good. Because I have a depending on the show, what I'm appreciating about this interview and about you right now and about this show is that your perspective is such that we're able to kind of come at the narratives in our lives and the narrative that's the story that's being told in a way that is bigger, in a way that is I'm gonna use a word like it's more meta, in other words. So you can look at those qualifications and say, wow, something's going on here. That's weird. What a life story. And I could look at your qualifications and your history, and every single person listening to this has a inexplicably unique, and I'm going to say divine story that's being written by their lives. And yet, even still, there's something else entirely going on here. There's more to it than that. There's something else. So I usually, when I'm on these kinds of shows, I say, I don't like to do introductions. I really do. I really do. In fact, depending on the show, I actually will, when people say, so, hey, Conner, how would you like for me to introduce you? Usually my response to that is I don't like introductions. I don't do introductions, because the person who thinks that they're moving their mouths to make these words come out, the person who I think that I am, is by definition a limited uh, perspective of the fullness of what's going on here. So skip the introductions. Let's just get right to the message. Let me tell you why I'm not my qualifications. And let me tell you why you're not your story, right? And yet you defined it, Steve. You're so in the at the helm here that you said, I'll tell you how I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to introduce you as this little story that you said of servant leadership. So in keeping with this, in the spirit of this, I'm going to offer that, yes, I have a background in natural medicine. I've been an herbalist for I'm not losing track. I'm just these days I say over 15 years, and in the course of that, working in the health food industry, I came to co-own a health food store. I also came to acquire my master's degree in acupuncture and oriental medicine, and a bachelor's degree in health sciences. And so my sort of credentialed professional background, if you want to call it that, is in natural medicine. And yet, here's part of my story that I will sometimes offer, like I said, if the energy is right, and that is that I remember sitting day one in acupuncture school. So you've embarked on this journey, acupuncture school. What? You're sitting in a room with, say, six. Yeah, at that point, I think it was maybe 20 something students. A lot of people drop out of acupuncture school. It's very hard, and you're like, this is going to be interesting. And I'll never forget sitting there and thinking to myself, one, the services that I'm going to be able to, the skills and the information and all that I'm going to be able to offer through as becoming a vector for this experience in other people's lives, to my friends and to my family and whatnot. And two, how cool it is to be able to use moxibustion and acupuncture and Chinese massage and East Asian medicine and all of the incredibly intricate physiological and anatomical systems that have been worked out over the past, say, formally over the past 2,500 years of the history of Chinese medicine. And yet, how all of this is entirely spiritual.
Yeah. It's a big part of it.
Right. So I'm going to offer, Steve, that it's all of it. It's all of it. And so it even says in the Huangdi Neijing Su Wen, it says in the Yellow Emperor's Classic of internal medicine and from Chinese medicine, it says that all disease begins in the heart. It says that the superior physician treats the spirit, right? So even in these incredibly intricate systems of discerning what may be out of balance in a physiological and anatomical living organism system, like from a Chinese medicine perspective, which I'm going to, for your listeners, by the way, for those who are interested in acupuncture and Chinese medicine, completely, in terms of complexity and complexity theory and those kinds of things, completely in its present state, outdoes, for lack of a better word, the complexity that's often offered by standard mainstream Western medicine, right? Because you've got, you can't do epidemiological and etiological studies from a Chinese medicine perspective. It has to be case studies because everything is so complex. So even with all that complexity and all that information and all that conscious knowing and that book learning, right? All that book learning that's possible in what's called like the scholar physician of Chinese medicine. I knew first day of acupuncture school that something else is going on here. And so some people go into Chinese medicine, they want to say, well, I'm going to use these acupuncture needles to treat the body, do sports medicine and all this kind of stuff. And for me, my whole life, even through learning natural medicine earlier on, herbalism and horticulture and permaculture and these kind of things, it's all entirely spiritual. And so, yeah, and I think that's a matter of honoring for me what is truly me. Let's get it back to authenticity and back to service, because when you are radically and authentically yourself, like I said, I believe that the service emerges from the center of you effortlessly and automatically. It's not something that requires my conscious input.
So
I don't have to think about how I'm going to show up necessarily from the, like service can be a virtue and a prime value for you, and authenticity and being yourself and radically yourself could also be a prime value for you, and the result would be the same.
Yeah, very true. And that's what I tell
Yeah.
people: when you're of service, you're not worried about outcome. You're especially not worried about financial or income or money. That should not be the basis for your service. It should be the funnest thing from your mind. It is for me. I tell you what, I get more excited when I help them and I get an email from a lady that says, "Oh my God, you gave me 3 introductions that have changed my life for my family." It wasn't even for that. The spirit said, "You know what? I'm going to help her family with the introductions you made. You could give me $1 million. I'd be happy, but it's short term. That will live with me for the rest of my life." And that leads to a great word in your bio, transformational. Talk about spirit. It's huge. I use the word more now in the last year I have in 60 years, and I'm glad I am. Talk about that.
Well, oh man. So, the headline maybe at the time that you were looking at the bio was something something to the effect of transformation has never been easier. Transformation has never been easier, right? And that's, of course, like a call to act or whatever. Really, I actually changed that recently to just asking the question, who are you really? Because asking ourselves, who are you really, is actually the means by which the transformation into the thing which we somehow paradoxically and magically already are in this very moment, is how that is able to emerge in our awareness as what's actually going on here. That's radical authenticity in action. Is not an act of, it's not a performance in the world, it's not an obligation, it's not something that can be expected of you by anyone. It's actually the invitation which your very life is calling you to. So part of the sort of, from the, I'll say the business perspective, which is really silly to me, but from the business perspective, what I've been inviting people into who come into my world is the notion that transformation, what is that? It's kind of like asking, what is that? What even is that, Steve? You said, like, so what is transformation? Well, I might respond simply by saying, you know exactly who it is you are meant to be in this very moment. You know who you are meant to be. And the only way that we could possibly the only way we could possibly get in the way of that is by, say, I'm going to use a sort of a scriptural trope here, is by leaning on our own understanding rather than knowing, rather than trusting in the knowing that is actually inherent in where we find ourselves in the moment in which we are in it now, like right now, right? You know who you are.
Yeah.
Do you have to be able to language that in a way that you can put it on a, in a call to action or in a sales page? Do you have to be able to put that in? Do you have to be able to put that into words? You don't have to do anything.
No, it's your world.
You don't, right?
It's your world. No, that's so true. Yeah. Regards to the challenges of service.
Yeah.
For people in your coaching, what do you see as the challenges and how do you help them overcome them?
Ask that again for me, will you? Say that again.
So the challenges of service, people are listening going, oh my God, I'm super excited. I want to be of more service. I want a servant's heart. I want to be a servant leader. I don't think I'm there yet, but what's my challenges?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was hard for me to even hear it, because you are there now. I promise you. You are there right now. And I promise you have no challenges other than the challenges which you have fabricated in your conscious mind as obstacles which you perceive to be in any way limiting you. And there is nothing limiting you. Not now, not ever. Not now, not ever. And so this gets us, Steve, you said from the perspective of spirit, and yes, I mean, I don't think that a secular way of approaching anything really, I don't think it's very, it's funny, like secular humanism is a philosophy, like that's a thing. I'm going to offer simply that the way that that's been kind of blended with what we'll call like scientific materialism and and blending with the philosophies of existentialism and nihilism, and how meaning is dealt with in 2024, when this podcast was, people like everywhere, even atheists, because you may very well have atheists listening to this, and I've had conversations with many, and I swear to you, we care about the same thing, and we're singing the same song. And so whether I call you or I call that from the perspective of spirit, or taking a larger perspective, a kind of transcendental, might have philosophical red flags for people of a certain intellectual ilk. That's fine. I don't care. That's not the point. The point is there's something else going on here. There's something else entirely going on here. Oh my gosh, what an awesome conversation, Steve.
It
There are
is.
no, there are no, there's nothing, there's nothing in your way, even the things and that you think you're right about
Hmm.
that limit you. Um, Challenges, blah, blah, blah. Just do away if we can. To what extent can we allow ourselves to feel free enough to feel the ease and the flow and the grace and the presence that's available to us in this moment and allow that to be our motivation? You want motivation? It's staring you right in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I'm loving this. We're getting close to the end here,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I've got a great question for you. You've mentioned freedom a number of times. I love freedom because that's everybody's goal, whether it's
Absolutely.
financial,
Absolutely.
life freedom, whatever that fits. Talk about freedom in your eyes.
Whew. Freedom is your nature.
Yeah.
Freedom is who you are. Freedom is what you came here to realize is your very, not just your birthright, but if it's your birthright, do you have to, I mean, what is there to do other than claim it and know that that is who you are, right? So
Mhm.
again, service is service. Like free, like look at all these words: service, freedom, authenticity, spirit,
Hold tight.
trust. Y- Uh, uh, what is even a word like action or doing feel like or look like when we put it in this nested in the same sphere of concepts as these things which feel like home, which feel like our true nature, which feel like what it is we're doing here? What is that? What is action or doing, or even something like, oh gosh, we're it's hard to even say it, but effort. What is that? What even is that in these, in with this perspective? It's life. Life can be easy even when it's, um God bless it, even when it's, pretty much objectively not.
Mhm.
You're still the center of what's going on in this life. You said that it's your world. Nothing could be truer. And when we actually put ourselves and our own authenticity and our own being that is true to us at the center of it, then that service and that life changing, world shifting, world transforming something, that mysterious something, you know, when we're just aware of it as who and what it is we actually are. I mean, that's the secret sauce. That's the magic and the mystery of what's going on here. You don't have to do anything. Do you know who you are? Who are you? I'd bet the farm, like I've said in prior interviews, I'd bet the farm you know exactly who you are. And I'd offer with that it's not something that you have to justify or explain or even use words to communicate. You know who you are, and that's all that matters. What now? Not even what next, but what now?
Yeah. Yeah. Take care of now. I like that. It's so true. Man, this has been incredible. Man, my notes are full. My head's full.
Your
You're
heart is
spouting
full.
out.
This is
Exactly. So great. So I know
Oh
people are going
man.
to want to reach out to you, Connor. How can people get a hold of you?
ConnerKees.com. CONN
Awesome.
CONNERKEES. You can go there. You can hit the Let's Talk button at the top right and set up a conversation with me. Let's just talk.
Yeah. And
Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
just can say you have a 28-day transformational coaching program too.
I
Real
do.
quick, mention that.
A lot of the people that I work with, who once we have that conversation, and they remember that they know who they are and why they came here and what they're doing, they'll say things like, that's paradoxically very untrue. They'll say things like, gosh, I need more of you, Connor. Well, I say, no, no, you don't. No, you don't. That's fine that you think that. And no, you don't. And they say, but I wish I could keep you in my back pocket or talk to you every day. And so for people who are, uh, I don't want to use words like ready or willing, or for people who desire to step into that level of intimacy of relationship with the message that's being communicated, however it is here now. I do offer that. I offer very intensive coaching, because I find a lot of people in their coaching programs, they'll offer kind of the done with you process. And one of my desire was to come up with, or to allow to emerge for me, a way of we'll call it coaching. Coaching isn't even the right word, but just relationship that feels like a pretty much the done for you. And paradoxically, there's no such thing coaching process like what is done for you coaching. Well, it's you and I just having a conversation, and me just sitting there holding up a mirror,
Yeah.
and reminding you that there's nowhere to go from the thing which feels good to you to do in this very moment. And that, again, to round it out about the message that's being communicated on a show like this, that service, that's how we serve. is that, like, who are you? Like, every single one of us knows good and well that service is our nature. So nothing could be truer than that to me. And so, as you said, yes, connerkees.com, CONNERKEES. That's Conner with an E, Keys with 2 E's and no Y. .com. Go to the Let's Talk button at the top right. I've got a book coming out very soon. In fact, by the time this interview comes out, it may very well be out. And it's also Conner Kees. It's at Conner Kees on all my social media handles and all that.
Super
stuff.
simple.
So, Steve,
I like it.
Appreciate
Appreciate you.
Phenomenal, brother. I am so very grateful for this. Thank you, Steve.
Me too. Thank you. And audience, as I always say, there's a lot of information he gave you, a lot of great spiritual input that you need to listen. Use the forward and back buttons on the podcast or the YouTube channel. Listen to it over and over. We'd love for you to watch the whole show or listen to the whole show. But if there's 5 or 6 minutes to change your life, listen to it over and over again. Get it embedded in you. I love doing that. I'll do that because I've got some notes here. And don't forget my TV show, Together We Serve, every Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. And take doing business with a servant's heart message that I'm getting out and put it on your chest, put it on your head, get hats and shirts and hoodies that you can wear around, and people can see that message. You can talk more about that, because I'd love for this to get around the world. And as always, speaking for Conner and me, we thank you so much for listening or watching this podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. See you all.